This is absolutely devastating to witness. Strong game 3 Friday night, a little bit of a different game here tonight, much different result. Lots to talk about. Let's break it down. Welcome in to Devil's Digest. Feel free to click the subscribe button. Game 4 New Jersey today against Carolina. That's how it went. 5-2 loss for New Jersey. Carolina goes up in the series 3-1 on New Jersey. Look, when you look at this game and how this series has been played so far, this was New Jersey's worst start to a game. And now I know, you go back game 1, they got outshot 17-5. It didn't look very good. You look how they did this game and how the first period went and what was in the situation, what was on the line. 2-1, you just got yourself your first win of the series in double overtime. You have the momentum. Like I've said before, momentum, it shifts back and forth. And when you have it, you got to keep it for as long as you can. New Jersey didn't keep it for very long at all. I mean, Andrei Svechnikov scores 52 seconds into the game. Jacob Markstrom looked like couldn't see the puck. Svechnikov puts it in. Jacob Slavin from really kind of an almost impossible angle, seeing how, Markstrom was positioned up to the post, finds a way to put it in. New Jersey had 2 shots inside the first 30 seconds and then didn't have one till the end of the period. It was not a good period for the Devils whatsoever. It was their worst period of the whole entire series. I know the shots were definitely much closer, a lot closer. It wasn't 17-5. They didn't create much. Carolina was in their end for basically the whole entire period, and they found a way at the end of the period to take another power play, or a penalty, I should say. Give Carolina another power play. And that's what Carolina did with that power play. They went and they scored to start the second period. It was easily, of this series, New Jersey's worst period. Worse than that game 1 second period. They knew what was on the line today. They just won a game in double overtime. They're at home again. Carolina struggles at home. They're really good. Struggles on the road. They're really good at home. You really want to find a way to get both games in your own barn and tie this series up at 2. Now you go back to Carolina. You're down 3-1. Got to find a way to win both games in Carolina. It just overall today, really bad start and weren't able to find the equalizer. I mean, you can't keep throwing yourself, behind. In this series, I know they've scored first in game 2. They scored first in game 3. But when Carolina gets going, all of a sudden, you're falling down, and they're not being able to come back into this series. Today, 3-0, 2-0 after the first period. And there was no pushback until, Nico Hischier scores, makes it 3-1. Meier gets another one to make it 3-2. But, when you're in a hole, you basically have to be almost perfect the rest of the way. You're not always going to be perfect, especially when your lineup's injured. That's what happened today. Now going forward, 3 games left, you got to be perfect. You have to go 3-0. I mean, winning 3 games in a row is already challenging. Winning 3 games in a row against the same team, it's not a good situation to be in. I'm not, coming out here and saying that I don't think the Devils can still win this series, but not a great situation for the Devils to be in. And, here's kind of crazy statistic so far. Outside of Simone Nemec's game 3 overtime goal, Timo, Meier, Nico Hischier, Jesper, Bratt have been involved in every single goal. I mean, go ahead and show you guys the one from today. Nico Hischier got the scoring started, and Timo Meier scored a little bit later on Kochekov from kind of, a weirder angle. They're just not getting enough depth scoring. They're not getting enough, creativity from their depth guys. They're not scoring. There hasn't been a ton of notice in the depth in their lineup. And that was a problem this season. And Sheldon Keefe did say post-game, we've struggled to get depth scoring. It's kind of hard to ask your depth guys to dominate when it's been a struggle this season. well, we're getting pretty much nothing. It's not even just about, trying to dominate. They're not getting any depth scoring whatsoever. You're not getting any offense. And, I mean, it's just showing up in this series. You can't have just your 3 top guys being the only ones producing, because they've done their job in this series. I've said it before. You win Stanley Cups when your stars are your stars. They are getting that, but they aren't getting that depth scoring. Carolina's kind of getting it all around. They're finding ways to get goals in all different situations. Like I said, coming into this game, they only had 3 5-on-5 goals. So they're figuring out other ways to score. The Devils aren't doing that. And, I mean, this statistic may be even more shocking. In this series, the New Jersey Devils power play is 0 for 12. And Carolina 4 for 13. And they scored on 3 in a row at one point. Both goals in Game 3 came on the power play. Now, why this is so significant? Because coming into this series, you were looking for ways the Devils kind of had the upper hand on Carolina. And it was pretty easy, pretty consensus to see where they definitely did. It was the power play. The Devils had the 3rd ranked power play in the NHL. Carolina was 25. You really expected New Jersey to be good on the power play in this series. Create, give them a good chance to win. So far, it's been the exact opposite. They're actually technically, I could call them -1 because they've allowed a short-handed goal. 6-on-5 when they've had the goalie pulled, they haven't been able to score. They've allowed 2 goals with the goalie pulled. In terms of having a man advantage, the Devils have not helped themselves whatsoever. I mean, I said before the series, you want to find a way to go around a power play goal per game. That's not going to happen. Carolina, they've done exactly that. They've scored 4 power play goals in the 4 games. They had 2 in Game 3. And this is a team that doesn't have a great power play. Maybe doesn't create as much. When they needed it in Game 3, they got it. They got 2 power play goals to tie the game in the 3rd period. They're getting that. The Devils aren't. The Devils aren't taking advantage of their chances. They have chances in this series, and we knew it was going to be less. We know Carolina, very good with the matchups, very good defensive team, number 1 penalty kill. We knew it would be less, especially with our injured lineup. But even when they get them, they're not taking advantage of them. And that has been a serious problem in this series for New Jersey. Looking at the team, obviously, you want to hope that Luke Hughes, Brenden, Dillon, Johnathan, Kovacevic, at least one of them can come back next game because, Tuesday, it's an elimination game. So, obviously, you got to find a way to win on Tuesday, but an elimination game. On Freddie Anderson, got hurt in the 2nd period. Him and Timo Meier had a little bit of a collision. No status on that. We don't know what's going on with Anderson, but outside of that, Carolina really doesn't have any other injuries. New Jersey, look, they have injuries. And at the end of the day, you have to find a way to win games, and you have to find a way to convert on your chances. And you need more scoring than just your star players. Yes, you need the star players to keep scoring like they are. Absolutely. But you need some help. You need some help around that. They've scored 1 goal in the first 2 games in Carolina. They haven't scored more than 2 goals in this series in regulation. Tough to win a series when those statistics are true. It kind of shows why you'd be down 3-1 in a series. So, all in all, Game 4, Tuesday, it's a must win. Game 5, Tuesday, must win in New Jersey. New Jersey drops today's loss 5-2. Let me know if you make any roster or lineup adjustments heading in for Game 5 in Carolina. Let me know down in the comments. Roster adjustments. Could be some. I'd like to see Daniel Sprong get back in the lineup. I think you traded for him. I kind of want to see why we traded for him. So hopefully Daniel Sprong can get back in the lineup because I think he still would add something. Let me know down in the comments. Hopefully you guys hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys really soon. All right, take care, guys.